I heard the mechanics AMA earlier went well, so that's awesome. We've sort of got like a 2-for-1 today for the AMAs. This one's more of a State of the Kingdom AMA. Maybe a little bit less on the AMA and more of just an update. So basically, we just want to talk about where we're at, how things are going with the project, what the plan is, what the internal workings are of our team, and sort of how all that's been going, the stuff that we're trying to prioritize and trying to do to make sure that we're able to best react to the markets, things like that as well. So up here with me right now is the board of Kingdom Studios. We've got Beetle Dude, Mr. Fawn, Rooster, and Dreamer, and I. And there's some really good people up here. So I think Dreamer has some stuff he wanted to lead out with. He's the president of the board, so I'll turn time over to you.
Sure. Cool, thanks. I just wanted to recap, I guess a little bit of the last year, and kind of where we're looking at focusing now. There have been questions in recent months, even in some AMAs, can we have the vision of the game? Can we have the long-term trajectory? And I think the project has really been building real time. And with that building real time, we grow in real time. We talk to the community real time. We put in processes and policies and kind of, roll with the punches, so to speak, with the market as well. Today, we're going to be talking about a bit of vision and next steps for DeFi Kingdoms and how it directly relates to the market as well. So I guess last year, when there were very few people that were involved in the beginning, it started as a decentralized collective run by Fox. Everybody was paid in Jewel, and over time, how much Jewel you get paid and bonus structure and everything just kind of varied. It varied to the market, to the size of the team, to the project, and as that progressed throughout the end of last year, when the entire market saw the rise of that bull market, we entered into what seemed like a shift. And when we all saw the market start to pull back and many other events happen in the project and in the industry, we started to make decisions on how to shift that, to shift from that kind of decentralized collective and more towards a business that would be set up to run in bear markets and grow in bull markets and evolve with good partners in the future. So part of that has been working on creating an entity. We've been talking about Kingdom Studios. We have an entity. We now have a board. We have legal representation. We have offshore entities as well, all kind of setting us up to I guess in real time, which is hard. Many real, I would say real world, and maybe real is the wrong word to use, but real world businesses have all this set up prior to any type of engagement, whereas we had the fun and innovative, but also different opportunity to really launch as that decentralized collective. So with the analysis of looking at a Jewel-based payment system, you go all the way back to even, I think, weeks after launch, price, was around $1 quite quickly. And then, I think within a month or so, it almost hit that $4 or $5 range. So when we were near the, $18, $20, $22 range, there's ongoing analysis to check, if we were to go back to that $2 range, what would it look like? What changes would we need to make? And how can we continue to build? As we started to see markets make some pretty big, very external, very unrelated to DeFi Kingdoms at all, as we've seen, some pretty Lehman Brothers-like events in the last couple of weeks. And then even prior to that, we still are a bystander and impacted by the overall world markets, what affects the stock market, the Fed, inflation, unemployment, global wars, small cap stock bond market, and Bitcoin and other blue chips down to our blue chip partners, and then all other, coins, altcoins in the industry. So we have been giving updates on adjusting spending, giving updates on working through Kingdom Studios to pay people and provide a more, I would guess, use the word legitimate way for people to be contracted. With that came adjustments on compensation, the amount, the timing, the type, all of which people have their own rights to look at and see if it's right for them. Operating as a collective with a different set of profit sharing is a bit different than needing to adjust, overall pay and with long-term, short-term compensation relative to maybe other opportunities out there. So there may be people that choose to look at that opportunity and do something else. And with those, we wish them well. And there may be and will be or have been people that look at that and accept and choose to keep working with. We've been saying the project, but I think Kingdom Studios and the company is kind of the world we're in at this point. So with all of that set up, looking at solvency, looking at in order to run servers and minimum expenses, we are also looking, like many other projects in this space have been and will continue to, look to raise capital. Now, raising capital will be focused on identifying and working with some very good strategic investors. There will be probably a few different types of investors that we could look to partner with. Some might be purely capital based. Others might be, decentralized or crypto partner based. And others that are in focus are actually, potentially large gaming studios outside of the crypto space. And we're open to all of it. But what we are working on now is really to gear up to that pitch. We've set up an entity. We have a board. We have adjusted expenses. We're working on budgets. We are looking to, legitimize the shift from decentralized collective to overall business. And now we need in the industry, you need a pitch book. That pitch book needs to show business model, primary segments, secondary segments, and the overall vision. And what will be coming next that we'd like to share with the community as we work on this is, what does that vision look like? What are we pitching to our potential, investors and partners in the future? And how do we know, what the future of that business will look like? So we're really excited to be working on that, directly related to feedback of, it's good to have a roadmap. We have a good roadmap. We've been delivering at an incredibly rapid pace since launch. And going forward, we want to be very clear about the actual business model itself and all the pieces of it and how that might relate to unique partners. So I will pause there. Others that are on the call, feel free to chime in on any piece that I've kind of recapped here.
Just adding my thoughts. It's been such a crazy year. It was amazing to launch with this team as a startup, scrappy mentality. Basically paying ourselves in jewels that weren't worth anything, hoping for the future. As those jewels became worth more, we were like, okay, we need to adjust pay and ensure we aren't paying ourselves too much. And then it was always adjusting it as it went up and down, basically, to make sure we're trying to be really compensated at the right weight. And then I think it was a month and a half ago with the markets, we were like, okay, we need to really make sure that we can do what we need to do to stay if we hit $1, or if we hit $2, then we'll have to adjust. If we hit $1, we'll have to do a lot more adjustments. And so that's part of why we created Kingdom Studios, the ND, set up accounts so we could pay out in fiat to people and stuff like that. That's just more the like maturity phase. And it's really unfortunate that at that time, that was the same time as, like the rest of the market doing its thing. But it was also really good that we did it at that time, because otherwise it would have been totally sunk. We're at the point now where, we're almost going back to startup mentality, where it's like, okay, like we have jewels, we have a lot of jewels also. And, there's a lot of people that are still very fervent about the project, myself included, who are, like willing to still work through that time there and earn like locked jewels, for example. We have other things there, but there's others that can't. There's others that, everyone has their own situations with their like personal life, with their families, and some people have like left jobs and things for this. So everyone's in their own situation, and we do respect that if that is the case for people. And just kind of trying to do what's best for like the project and for all of the people in it as well. So that's the thing that we've been trying to balance as the board here at Kingdom Studios. And as Dreamer said, part of that is trying to look for other kinds of like revenue sources. There's merchandise. We have a very amazing brand. We have IP. We have a great community. There's a lot of opportunities there. And we have some like really good features that are about to come out. So, there's a lot of really cool stuff there that we have going for us. We're not just starting from scratch here in this crazy market. So that's sort of where we're at, sort of what the plan is. A large part of that is trying to secure funding so that we're able to keep as many people as we can, basically.
I was just going to say that one of the things that we have done is made sure that we have secured enough funding for the servers for both DFK Chain as well as Serendale. We are in a position where we can cover expenses from a fiat standpoint, not including payroll for about a year. We do have some other USD for some payroll, but it will probably in the long term revolve around quite a bit of a startup mentality. Like Fox said, we will pay out in some amount of jewel as well as lock jewel to have that vest so that it doesn't hit the market. It'll hit the market over probably a certain amount of time that we determine at that point. So we're positioned well, I think, especially from a funding standpoint. We've had some really good talks. Obviously nothing has been secured, but I see that as hopeful, and that could really put us in a great position, especially long term, where we can create some really amazing features, and as well as features for kind of an alternative direction, as we potentially will be showing the community a pitch deck in the future of the direction that we'd like to go. So, which is super exciting and something that we're excited to express and show with the community in the future.
Mm-hmm. Also, a huge shout out to Dreamer. He's been heading out to events and to like private dinners and stuff like that, meeting with people every single day. He's like really just on fire over there, fighting the good fight over there on that front. So huge kudos to him there, and also to Beetle and Fawn and all these people that are building. There's a lot of really good stuff happening, and it's really heartening to see. Like when the going gets tough, then the tough get going, and there's a lot of really tough people on our team, which I'm really extremely grateful for there, and for all of their support as well. Dreamer, I saw you unmute. Sorry, was there something you wanted to add?
Well, I just want to extend those kudos to everybody else as well, that is helping with I think when you mentioned like meeting people and fighting the good fight, you're hinting towards getting us geared up for potential interested strategic high quality partners as we look to find that. And the those in the community that were attending the events live, the nights, the core team members, the those that have been sending info over like DMs, we really are all contributors to DeFi kingdoms, and although that people in Discord or elsewhere might get maybe a little heated or passionate, it's because we all love this project and we see how special it is and where it can go. So I think the invite is extended to the community as well. We have an incredible platform. We have really, really good assets within the platform. We have a good plan, vision, and we're positioned to, in multiple ways, to do really big things in this space. And that will only be enhanced further by really powerful strategic partners as well, whether it's scaling, whether it's converting AAA games to Web3 space, whether it's continuing to gamify other protocols or be on various chains, and then especially the further development of the actual game itself. It's all exciting, and as we talk with people, it's always a positive conversation. There's ears that perk up, there's interest, there's comments of, we've really been building something different where the level of innovation versus copy and paste is so attractive. And in this market, people are saying it's a builder's market. Well, many people in the bull market weren't necessarily building and innovating, but we were, and our goal is to continue to do so. And a lot of the decisions are hard. We're trying to do the best we can with them. And we do believe that having help from the community, having help from all the great people we're working with now, and those that we'll work with in the future, is the path to get there. So just wanted to add to that box on those well-deserved kudos all around.
Yeah. I've had some questions like, what about the jewels and the jewel fund? That's part of why we adjusted the pay rates back a couple of months ago, as much as we did, because we saw the trajectory from the start of the project. We were basically spending under budget for the vast majority of the projects. Where we started out, we minted I think it was 5 million jewels to the jewel fund, between the dev and the other one, the marketing. And each week we brought in more jewels than we spent. That's because of how the protocol was set up. That allowed us to very rapidly grow the team and get really good talent, get really good artists, and really just expand the project. Have a lot of nights that were paid, which isn't super, I guess, common in this space either, which was awesome. We have amazing nights. By the way, they're just so awesome. But I've been asked what about the jewel funds? There's still a lot in there. So we sort of saw, I think it was back in March or April, for the first time we went under the initial amount that we had minted in those funds, and that was a little bit concerning because it's kind of like the first warning light there that, okay, we're starting to see a pullback here. We're spending more than we're earning at this point. We have to make adjustments. And that's really what precipitated a lot of this. And the plan wasn't to figure out how we can get it so that we can spend those to zero and survive, because if they're at zero, then we're basically already dead. So the plan was to say, how can we adjust our spending so that we're spending under how much we're bringing in? We don't want those to go to their, we want those to always have a healthy amount in them, so that when it does come back, we'll have a very good setup there in the war chest for that. So that's the approach we took. That was the focus of it, was how to adjust spending so that we are under the amount that we bring in each week. And so, of course, the revenue sources for that is trading on the decks. It's doing stuff in the gardens. It's hero summoning and purchases. It's stuff with questing, all those things in our game. And we're adding more and more to that as we go, like pets and dueling and things like that. That will increase sort of the bottom line. But at the same time, with the price of the market falling, that it's tighter and tighter each month too. So it was kind of okay, here's some cuts, and then a week or two later, okay, now we have to do more cuts. We sort of plan with, okay, what's the worst case scenario when we hit $1? And then it's okay, what's the real worst case scenario when we hit 75 cents or 50 cents? And now we're at 20 cents. So it does get hard. A lot of us, myself included, have basically been working for free or for like equity, and that's fine. And I'm able to do that because I have been here since the very start, and planning to still do that, for as long as I can as well, along with everyone else here. A lot of people are, as I said, are very, very passionate about the project. We have very passionate people in the community. I've been receiving all kinds of DMs from people with ideas for how to do this or that with the game, how to have like new like revenue ideas, and all those are amazing. And I ask you guys to please be patient with me because I do have a lot of DMs. I'm trying to get to them today as much as I can. But yeah. Go ahead, Fawn. Sorry, I've been kind of rambling.
No worries. I've just been trying to keep a touch on the voiceless chat. I don't know if I'm the best person to present this. Maybe it's Dreamer or maybe Rooster, or I could even give it a shot if we'd like. But I think there's a bit of a confusion between the relationship of what Kingdom Studios and DeFi Kingdoms, the game. Maybe we could get some clarity there so people can understand that.
Sure. Yeah. I actually was planning on touching on that, and I'm sure Dreamer has some thoughts as well. But as I've been mentioning, we have Kingdom Studios that we set up that was to do a lot of things for us. It was to enable us to hire lawyers and do KYC things for some of our partners, and have more of a traditional entity set up here that we're able to do business with in a more efficient way. It also enabled us to have a board and have the ability to do like serious funding and do the ability to receive grants and things from places. So that's kind of how that came about. And DeFi Kingdoms, it has a offshore entity that was created. That one is run more like a collective. It has ownership of the dev funds and wallets and things like that. The regulatory stuff around that are tricky, and so that's why we had to kind of set it up that way, because there is a lot of uncertainty in certain jurisdictions. But that one has sort of a separate board that sits there and handles the multi-sig, and that's not me or any of the people here. Kind of like a separation of interests of sorts there. And it's a partnership that we have a SLA agreement that's in the works for, to where Kingdom Studios basically contracts with and provides services for the DeFi Kingdoms project, as it were. So Kingdom Studios is kind of the development wing, or not wing, but a agency that will be providing those services, among other things too. There's stuff like merchandise, there's marketing, there's community management, and things like that as well. So, Dreamer, do you want to elaborate or correct anything that I said?
I think there's something in the chat related to my comments earlier and to this comment now. I think when we're talking about potential investors and strategic investors, many can think of that as new participants in DeFi Kingdoms, as meaning coming in and buying heroes and buying Jewel. Although I think that is fair to say that there may be quote unquote participants, players, investors to come in. Our comments today are around the ownership of Kingdom Studios, the development company for DeFi Kingdoms, and the arrangement that Fox just went over. We're looking for raising capital, doing an official raise for a potential ownership in Kingdom Studios, and that could be a VC firm, that could be an existing DeFi protocol, crypto protocol, that could be a traditional AAA gaming studio, that could be another type of business and entity or investor that would partner with and provide fiat-based capital to be used for overall expenses and to grow the business with those strategic partners. So to many, maybe that was very, very clear, but with the questions around, what is Kingdom Studios relative to DeFi Kingdoms, and answering that, I also wanted to confirm what it means to be looking for strategic investors by way of fundraising for equity in Kingdom Studios.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When you look at like Avalanche, they have Ava Labs. Ethereum has I think Ethereum Foundation, maybe. Axie Infinity, which is a lot more relevant to our model because they're an actual game. They have a studio. I'm trying to remember the name of their studio right now. It was, I can't remember. But they have a studio that actually employs the people that are building it. And they do like, Series A fundings and like stuff like that to sort of like raise capital to build that ecosystem. And that's kind of basically the same thing we're doing here as well, is having that entity to do things like that to actually provide services to the project. And it was always kind of the plan to, like you start a project like this and you just kind of see like, is there other people out there that are interested in seeing something like this built? And it turns out there was a lot of people that were very interested in seeing this built. And so then you grow the project and you sort of like change the structure and like mature it into a situation where it's able to be sort of like a real thing that can create a real product that can actually stand up to like the real market pressures and things like that as well. I just see I got tagged in my voiceless chat. Let's see. What's that? Guy Mavis. Thank you, Mellions. Yes. While I'm here, let's see. Matez said something. Let's update it. Oh. Isla. Some people asking about Isla. Isla, she was a person who has been here for a long, long time. She started the server here. We had her on the core team. We had tasked her with sort of being in charge of the community, growing that and facilitating that, and she did a great job of it. And like later on, we added Bolon, and he really just was able to carry that torch and just run with it. We grew out our Knights program. We did a lot of really cool things. A lot of the people that we started out with are basically those that were willing to stand up and like willing to take a risk on this thing that had a lot of unknowns. And a lot of them were, like compensated really well for that risk because it ended up like really paying off. And then as we grew larger and larger and larger, a lot of times that growth outpaced some of our skill sets. A lot of us had to grow a lot too. A part of that was adding more and more people to our team to help to carry that load and that torch. And as that growth happened, there are some people that it just sort of outgrew them. That, is perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal with these kinds of companies. As that growth happened, a lot of people got, at the point where they're like, okay, like I've been running so hard and so long and I would like to scale back. I've been doing 80-hour weeks for the past year. Some people have scaled back to like only do 40 hours. I say only with quotes, or only do 20 hours, or there's even some that are now advisors. As we scaled our payback, that was also hard for people because all of a sudden, having to earn a lot less for the same amount of work is also really hard. It's kind of like startup mentality to huge, successful project with high budgets to then restricted budgets back to kind of startup mentality. And that is hard for some. I'm not 100% sure with all of the details on the island situation. I'll be honest. I don't speak with her very often.
No worries. I can probably help answer some of these questions a little more directly. Given a few weeks ago, like we've been scaling back, everyone has been giving different offer opportunities and different salaries. Isla was extended an offer that was less than what she was previously making, but there was not a single person on our team that was not offered less than what they were previously making. Isla asked for more money, and I respect Isla as a great asset to our team, and we were trying to work through a way that we could figure it out. But given the continued price movement, we weren't able to. fulfill on the offer letter, the request that Isla made. And so our HR team reported that they had a conversation with her today that, in our perspective, had gone very well, in which we had even mentioned that if things turned around, that we would try to be able to accommodate her salary request. And we left that conversation thinking that things were calm. We're saddened to see any team member that leaves and decides to, tweet negatively towards the company. But I also, these times are hard for everyone, and I respect and feel for the emotions of many people. As the whole crypto market, there's a lot of hurt happening right now, and we're trying to band together as a team.
Yeah,
hopefully that answers questions.
I also think it's important to sort of address that, everyone's in their own situations. A lot of people, myself included, we had a lot in Jules, still do. We're still, I'm still very invested just from the fact of, playing the game and having heroes and assets that I want to see this be a success. I want to see those appreciate up in value, and then how we do that is basically to build and to add value. And I think a lot of people here in the community are in the same exact boat. They're like, how do we build? How do we add value to this? There are others on our team that we've offered, and they're like, well, this is great, but I actually could earn more somewhere else. And perhaps there's some people that came on later that haven't got as much investment in the game aspect of it, and so it didn't make sense for them to stay. And that's fine too. Everyone has their own situation, and we do respect that, and ask that other people respect that as well. But yeah, that's sort of where we're at. I'm trying to read the chat here. I know we've got some people queued up for questions. I wasn't sure we're going to accept questions for this one. It was more of a state of the kingdom, but I don't know. I am kind of trying to look here in the chat too, so maybe if you guys have questions, then you can feel free to tag me there real quick. Meanwhile, I'll just turn it back over to Beetle or Rooster Dreamer or anyone who has things to say. I see I did just get tagged here. Professor Blesseth. Nice name. Love the changes. Let's see, help from the community. Dura mentioned what short-term projects will allow the community to assist, and when can we expect these projects? That's part of the building program, was set up to support and to encourage that. And I think that will be more important now than ever, because as I said, our IP, our brand, our community, those are some of the most valuable assets that we have at this point. And I think there's a huge opportunity there for that. So I think actually Mr. Fawn has some work he's done for the community dev side of things. I think he made some developer docs. He could probably talk a little bit about.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess now the time is better than any. I'll just pop it in there. There you go.
Just put it in the chat. Thank you.
I just put it in the AMA voiceless chat. So that's the first draft of the developer docs that will assist in, community members being able to, not only reference, but hopefully integrate with the system. Big shout out to Mr. Zipper on helping me put this together. There's a lot to be done there still. There's quite a bit to still put out for this effort to make that more of a lasting relationship. But I also think that we can use this as a really good foundation.
Yep. So yeah, stuff like that I think will be very important. Let's see, I got another one from J Crypto. Have you read Master of Coin Suggestions? I don't think I've seen that yet. I need to take a look. It might be in my DMs. I do have a lot of unread DMs at this point, which I'll be trying to work through today. Changes to emissions, etc., to reduce sell pressure. There are things there that we could have a vote on well. Empolis says, can we get the SLA between Kingdom Studios and the FK once it's settled? So yeah, like we're still working out the details of that. I have to speak with our lawyers. I think it might be something that I'm not sure what the laws governing those are, or like the confidentiality clauses or things like that. But I can say that basically the basic gist of it is that Kingdom Studios would be providing services to build out and would be getting, X amount of jewels from the funds to be able to cover those expenses. And sort of on an ongoing basis for a period of time that the contract would be for. I think a year was what we wanted to do, with it automatically like renewing unless there was some other change made or something like that. That's kind of the basic gist of it. I'll let Dreamer speak more about that if he wants to. He's more the expert on that side of things.
I don't think there's going to be largely any differences with like how what was referred to as core team and contributors would operate. It's just like now we have the ability for people to get paid in fiat if like Kingdom Studios gets paid in Jewel. And I mean, Fox mentioned a comment throughout the project up until recent months. Right when we decided to make pay adjustments, I think we used the word like profitable each week. And that really means the initial amount of Jewel that was pre-minted to like the dev fund didn't really go under that amount. The amount of Jewel that it was receiving was being used to attract talent and build and so on. So I think expecting a similar rather than it just being like a soft thing, identifying a number and having that be allocated to the development company, and the development company can look at that, trade it into stables. Stables could hit the development company's wallet. You can see that as revenue. You then can use that to pay contractors. Contractors then can go get loans. We can raise money. We can sign agreements to get grants. We can assign NDAs for those that we want to work with directly. There's a lot that, it's been quite hard to work with others in the space that already are set up with like an onshore, offshore entity and everything that had probably years to prepare their overall structure. As I mentioned, we were doing it real time. We were kind of limited without an entity, without a legal identity, without a contract, without all of these pieces. So working through them real time while we've been delivering content and putting out, fires in the world and everything else, and adjusting with any talent that comes and goes. It's been a challenge, but we've been doing our best to work for the project and the overall future. There was another question, I think, as well that asked, like, what state are we at in raising? The effort so far has really been positioning us to the point where we even could, without the board, without the budgets, without the entity, without the legal structure, without all of that, any discussions that happened wouldn't really be taken seriously. At this point, the pitch book is really finalizing not just the short-term roadmap of the game, but being able to pitch what the game means, how that adds value to not only current DeFi Kingdom scope, but the path of blockchain gaming, cross-chain gaming, what it means to gamify other protocols, how you monetize that through multiple streams. It's all going to be, our focus is to make it much more clear and pitchable to the various partners so that we can identify where interests align and share in the equity of the studios to really find synergies and funding to make that dream and vision a reality. So not far on the fundraising side, haven't had a meeting, have been setting up the meetings. And that was one of our primary goals of having a presence in Austin. Was there were many incredible people there, all going around giving out merch. We had a booth. It was successful. We did a keynote. We were on a panel, but we're working from morning to night, identifying, good connections and setting them up where they made sense. Hope that answers the question.
That's really helpful there. And And yeah, as far as the timeline of this goes, like it's not a thing that's very fast. We have to have a like really good pitch deck, which Dreamer's been working on along with other people, and then those things can take a while to figure out the details of things, and so we have other plans in place in the shorter term. Obviously, like ensuring that the stuff that we're like creating and releasing have a really good impact on our like pressure on our like utilities, on the utility for our tokens. My tongue is tied today. And so that will help that. And then we're also having a initiative for like merchandise, which I'm actually really excited about, and how that can play with stuff in the game in sort of like a way that we haven't ever seen before in this industry, which I'm super excited about as well. So there's other things there that we're doing. And then I had a question from Sian Meki. Sorry, I'm just trying to like work down here. So if you guys have tagged me, I see I got a lot of tags. I haven't read those yet, but I'm going to. But he said, what about some of the like longer term stuff there, like PvP, PvE? Those are really the end goal for a game like this, in my mind. Having a game where you can take your heroes, go travel around, explore, fight, do quests. That is the stuff that I'm the most excited about, and I'm going to be working on those because that's just a thing that I want to see. That said, it is a lot of work, and it does take a long time, and we have lost some like members there that were working on that, so it will take a little bit longer. But do I see that still happening in like one way or another? Definitely, I do. That's the thing that I'm going to continue working on just because I love it. And there's other things too with the game. Hubert has ideas. Boo has some like really cool ideas. Kant has ideas for how like we'll be interfacing with lands, and guilds will become important as well. But as I said, all those things take time. A lot of times when you look at traditional game companies, like it takes years and years to build a game. We haven't even been a year at this point from the start, and there's a lot that has gone into it, a lot that will still be going into it, and we'll continue to be like working towards those things. Let's see, plan changes to the kingdom building program. Sorry, Rooster, I saw that you unmuted. Do you want to add something there?
Oh, I was just going to put a plug in. You mentioned it for just a second there, but with the merch store, it's something that we are kind of fervently working on right now, and it would be a great way for everybody to support us as we are going forward with and I've seen a rough draft of the merch store that we're pushing out, and I'm excited about it, and we've got some really cool things Mother Brain has put it together. Obviously, some of you have got some of the merch already as we've kind of passed that out just most recently at Decentral. But yeah, it's something to look forward to in the near future. So we'll be obviously announcing that shortly, but that is something that we are working towards at this point.
Mm-hmm. There's a question about the Builders program. I think we're going to be looking at that again to see what we need to do to ensure that we can incentivize as much building on it as we can. We still have to receive some of the grants and things that we've put out there, or that like we have been approved for from like Harmony's side. For example, we had like $1 million grant there from Harmony, which we still need to set up the multi-sig for to receive. I've been working with Poppy over there at Harmony on that front. Avalabs as well. There's a grant there that we're trying to actually bring home, I guess you could say, through the Kingdom Studios entity. A lot of those are parts of the reasons why we had to create that entity as well, because these companies out there, when they give grants, they have to have like KYC, they have to have trails for the money to go, and so having that there was a part of trying to prepare for that as well. So we'll be looking at that for sure. Scrolling down, let's see. Blesseth. Can we see a forum platform like Discourse on the Build website so we can have community concerns not get overlooked? Yeah, this is a thing we've been talking about a lot. is I actually really like how we have the current one for the build program, where you can like upvote and have them sort of like raise up or down so we can see what's most pressing, most important to the community. And I think that will be a important step for us to be better connected to the concerns of the community and see what they want to have done, even like proposals for votes and things. I think that's entirely within the purview of a platform like that as well, to say, hey, like a lot of people have this idea, they want to see it actually have a vote. We could have that platform be sort of a staging ground for things like that, and say maybe if it gets over a certain amount of upvotes, then it will automatically trigger a governance vote to see if something happens. That's really part of the whole decentralized approach to like this whole area that we're doing. So let's see. Some people echoing that sentiment. Yeah. Module meta. Okay, here's the essay for metas. Okay, it's gonna take me a second to get through metas. Give me.
I had read through it. I think it's a great question. It's one that I think has come up among many other priorities that come in and out. This is on our mind. It's a big thing to solve for, and I think the message is putting extra emphasis on the timing, which a lot of us do feel. Some really great suggestions there. I don't know when we're going to have an actual like delivery of that, but I do agree with the sentiment of the question, and I've heard in other discussions in committees and groups, it's the same. So I would just say, Fox, I'm sure you're going to read and respond. I'd say the suggestions are not far off from, I think, what could be possible. I think the inclusion potentially of larger decisions being put to a vote could be there as well, being innovative with fees or utility of Lockjewel in game. There are other ideas as well, and maybe I'll be careful to share them live, but I think when we think, I'll just say, not only utility, potential burning and other options with Lockjewel there, all finding ways to make sure we're staying within the realms of continue to add utility and gamify the various features. But it's a really good post, a really good comment, and I don't think it's far off from what we want as well. Getting to that solution that is going to be very impactful is important because of time, but it's important that it's also the right solution as well, and we're trying to play that balance.
Yeah, I just finished reading it. Thank you, Matthias, for those thoughts. I agree, it's really important. This has been on my mind a lot. Is how do we relieve some of that impending sell pressure from that? A lot of protocols are set up in a similar way, where you have like some tokens that will vest over a certain time. There will be cliffs every now and then. Ours actually hasn't got cliffs, but there are other protocols I've seen with cliffs, and it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, where someone's like, okay, this thing will happen at this event, so therefore I want to sell before then, which then makes other people sell before them, which then creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where it drops because other people think it will drop. So it's really a question of optics. The optics of it are the amount of jewels being put out during the unlocking period are not going to be higher than it was during the first few months of our project. It was actually higher than the amount of jewels that are putting out during the unlocking period. So it's not unprecedented levels that we haven't seen before. But that isn't as important as the actual optics of it. Like, what actually is impacted is not as important as the views around the impacts. And so I think that's very important. So adding all kinds of things into our game to be able to use those slot jewels will help to give appetite and utility there. Also, there's stuff that we could do with like the governance votes to actually adjust how those happen. I've been sort of like brainstorming ways to allow people to vote on certain things that might pertain to how we do lock jewels unlocking or some of the features. we could have special votes set up to where you vote for those proposals with your lot jewel, so that all those with lot jewel have a voice in saying what happens to things that impact those lot jewels. I've spoken with a lot of quote unquote whales that have like a lot of lot jewels, and a lot of them are very interested and very eager to see things be done or changed that actually sort of like restricts what they can what they are trying to figure out my words here. It impacts their own lot jewels in what might be viewed as like a negative way. However, like these whales are very smart, and they know that if they can do that and preserve the value of the underlying jewel, that helps them more over the long term than it otherwise would. So there's a lot of people that are like pushing for that, like have some kind of a vote, have extra utility for jewels, figure out what we can do, and that will be high on our list of things that we need to address. And it does take a while. There's a lot going on as well. Sorry, it's been sort of a thing that has been ongoing. Blesseth, community consensus. We love the AMA and PR, but we'd like to see a website with feedback forms, though. Definitely agree. I think that's a thing we've been hearing a lot about. We were looking at, I think it was User Voice was one of the software. It ended up being something like $1,000 a month or something. Is that right, Fawn? I think you looked into it. So we might try to find one that's cheaper, or we might just bite the bullet and do that. So there's some options there. Speaking of server costs and things like that, we have secured enough hard USD for the server costs for I think the next year plus. So that has been high on our list of priorities. We want to make sure there's always enough to have the server stay alive and have the game be able to continue to run, even if like the market gets really, really bad. That's sort of like number one on our list, is to secure that funding for the servers themselves, and all of those services. User voice, people asking about that again. I guess that's kind of like the main thing I'm seeing is sentiment about the user voice.
I think your last comment on the 1 year for server costs and everything, I think in that there's a long message related to that and asked for what are we doing at payroll. We've gone over that, but maybe I'll try to answer in like a more direct way. So with things that have to be like paid in fiat, like staying up and running, we've set that aside to I think for a year to have it be running. And for payroll, we're constantly looking at unique solutions that promote long-term upside for those that are able to work on the project and helping us through not only this time globally, but the exciting next stages as well. So that could be in the form of like many other projects do, like vesting jewel or crystal over time. Maybe that's locked, maybe that's completely separate. But in that scenario, it's kind of like you're working for equity, so to speak, like any startup. So if you receive jewel and it unlocks in the future, and we're working towards a later stage in the bear market, and the price does end up at a higher level than it is now, that's kind of the long-term incentive is focus. So just wanted to try to answer that directly, in addition to the minimum cost to run, which does consume fiat. Whereas with participants, just as the project started and many other projects are out there, oftentimes people are paid with tokens where the future value is unclear, but you're working towards adding utility and delivering in hopes of there being an attractive value in the future. We can't do that with server costs, but we can do that with those dedicated to the project and in the position to do so.
Yep. So a question by LV Renan, sort of the same type of thing that you just answered, so I'll just kind of skim it. But, he's sort of asking what's the current runway, assuming there's no infusion of capital by investors, imagine sort of like what that could look like. What are some of the like levers we can pull? I see some people talking about the bird behind me. Sorry, I am outdoors right now. But sorry about the birds. Yeah, so like the bear markets, who knows? They could last months or years sometimes. And so being able to build during that time, going back to the startup mentality, being able to pay our people with lot jewels or with basically like sweat equity, being able to earn a share of like the future of that project. A lot of people are excited about that prospect. And so it is sort of back to the startup mentality, but there are hard costs like servers and services and Discord and all that type of stuff there. That is why we sort of like moved to secure all the funding for those ASAP. And then for the rest of it, it's just basically trying to look for new like revenue streams, like merchandise, like providing gamification services to other projects that are looking to get into like the space. We have the FK chain, which is sort of like a huge opportunity there to bring in projects into the crypto world and have them be part of our ecosystem and instant access to our amazing player base, etc. So there's a lot of cool things that we're exploring. And I'll mute so the bird can be quiet for a bit. There was some question about the leaderboard being paused. We have actually looked at that. It's currently spending jewels. I don't think it has to spend jewels. I think there's all kinds of opportunities there to give other packs of like prizes and things for leaderboards. We have all kinds of really cool and like really valuable in-game assets like eggs and heroes themselves and stuff like runes and all that type of stuff there too. So that is stuff that we can also look at there. It doesn't have to be jewels. Also, like the jewels, a lot of players are more excited about those other things than they're about jewels. I am. I would really, really kill to get more eggs. So, not actually kill, don't worry, guys. And speaking of that bird, if it dies, it dies. I'm gonna call out their chips and salsa. Okay, well, we're at an hour. I'm still going through some more questions. Starbuck about the price of Jewel. How long can we sustain? I think that's kind of what we're talking about here in broad strokes. So, I mean, there's a lot of people here that are willing and able to continue to work on the project through that time. There's some that aren't able to. So it'll be like one of those things where everyone has to make their own choices and decisions there that we will respect as well. It might come to a point where we're not able to pay as much as we could in the past, and so that would be things that do impact certain people more than others, and that's fine. But as I said, like probably the most valuable things we have in our project is the IP, the brand, the community, the stuff we've already built thus far. We're in a very good place for that. You see, during these bear markets, you see a lot of projects just kind of like lose their steam and die. It's very, very common. I've seen it in our last bull cycle, or our last bear cycle. I was around for that as well. And there was projects that I had been excited about, and then like the bear came and they were gone. And that's a thing that we want to do our best to set ourselves up so that we can emerge at the end of that and still be strong. Because when it does come back, and all of us who are here in crypto, we know this is just a cycle. There's ups, there's downs. And if you look at stuff in the past, you like zoom out, you have a very real possibility and hope for that to still come back stronger. Every single time everyone asks, is this it? Is this the end? And up until now, every single time, it's been, nope, it always comes back stronger. So, do with that what you will. I'm not here trying to say this is like financial advice or anything like that, obviously for like legal reasons. But I've been here for a while in this space, and I'm not worried. That's just my 2 cents on it. But anyways, that is sort of our time for this. Sorry if you asked me things I didn't get to it. I'll try to go back afterwards in the chat and answer some of them as well. But, I hope this helped you guys. I hope this was helpful for you to see some of our thought processes. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about what this means for the future of the project, what the situation is. So that was the intent of this, was to just kind of let you guys know what we're thinking, what the plan is, what the process is to get to where we want to be, and just to, let you guys know that we're still here, we're still working, we're still building, and we're still excited about the project. So I know a lot of you are in the same boat and you want to help out however you can. Please feel free to reach out. We're interested in hearing that. We are a community at the end of the day, and a community that is able to pull together will survive this. So, yeah, thanks everyone for coming. I guess Dreamer or Fawn or Beetle or Rooster, if you guys have any last thoughts that you wanted to add, go ahead and do so.
Said it perfectly. Said it perfectly. Yeah, I agree. I think we've covered so many different topics in the last hour. I just hope that we can continue to communicate as a community, a project, a team. We like the tough questions posed in a thoughtful way from various backgrounds and experiences that add value. Our strength really is in all of our different backgrounds. We come together in the interest and the passion. We look forward to those that will potentially join us in the future. And this might be a long road. I don't know if, timing, I can't tell the future, but I can say that I observed so many people live, so excited to hear about DeFi Kingdoms, to see what we've made, to see the commitment, the creativity, the innovation, to hear the plan for the game and the business lines, to see us be innovators in the space for those that have been waiting on the sidelines, or more recently, whether it's their choice or not, move to the sidelines. We really have the interest and the dream to keep pushing forward, and we need everybody's support. We need to not only ask the good questions, but get good solutions and have each other's back, so to speak. And not only did I see a lot of people really excited live, but especially in the last 48 hours, something's happening in the market. I saw a lot of people very emotionally affected. And, in Discord, on Twitter, real life, this might be less of just a personal thing, but man, people are struggling. I just hope that we all try to be kind to each other, because as we lift each other, we're going to be better able to get good results, to weather the storm, and to build that kingdom that we all really have wanted at the various stages that we've all come into this project. So I'm grateful for everybody on the stage now. I'm grateful for all the questions, even the ones that were posed very politely, like, hey, it's going to be really direct, but here's a question. We appreciate it. I'm grateful for the whole team, all the contributors from very start to now, and all those that we met live and will continue to meet live to do our best to help things grow.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and answering and participating in today's AMA. We are excited to go forward and to make things work. I know that there are some really amazing people on this team, as I've seen people come together, especially this last week. I was able to meet quite a few of them recently, actually, and it was very encouraging to see everybody's interest in the project and the love for the project, and really the love as a team. In fact, recently I was actually able to meet Dreamer live, and what a great guy. I mean, it's just such a great team, and I know that we're going to come together and really continue to produce a good product as long as we stay together as a team. So thank you, everybody, for coming to this AMA today.
Thanks, Rooster.
Thanks, guys. That's all. I mean, you guys said it all. Just thanks for being here. Thanks for listening.
And Beetle Dude already said that we already said it. So go ahead, Beetle.
Thanks, y'all. Bullish. Let's do it.
Bullish.
So yeah, I just wanted to add, just at the very end, echoing a little bit of Dreamers. It's hard right now in the markets. A lot of people are going through a lot of things. It's hard across the board, and we need to remember that although many people on our team are moderators, are members of our team, we have been doing superhuman things for so long, but we're not superhumans. We're actual humans. We do appreciate those that reach out with words of encouragement and kindness. We are trying to create something awesome here, and that does take a lot of work. And I've worked harder on this than I've worked on anything in my life. And it's very satisfying to see where it's at, and I have a lot of hopes for the future as well. And so yeah, just remember to be kind. Remember to treat others in the community with respect, and let's pull together, and we'll be able to really create some exciting and some really fun things. So thanks everyone for coming. I'll leave you with that, and with ginormous bullish. I'll see you guys around.